Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the room. Look, people are already here. Hi, Small. Hi, Catherine. I hope you're all having a good weekend. It's a holiday here in the United States. So people have today and also tomorrow off. Usually have today off. I know, you totally got it, Small. You're so smart. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wasn't sure if people would get it, but this is the thing. Jupiter and Gemini, whoosh, so much that's going to speed up. Things are going to, where Jupiter and Gemini was laying the foundation, working the garden, getting those roots deep in. Now we're going to start to see the blossoming that's happening. Good morning, Jules. Good morning, Catherine. It's good to see you back in the room. Oh, it's Katerina. I'm sorry. Catherine's above there. I said hi to Catherine. Katerina, how was your ancestry thing? Did you get that finished? I think that was you that said that. Okay. For those of you, hi guys. Are we still here? I just got some weird message. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I just got some weird offline message and then it went back. Can you hear me? Are we? Oh, weird glitch. Okay, you got it too. So we're here. Okay. All right. To start officially for the playback. Welcome to my channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. I'm beginning to think I might be a little bit of a revolutionary astrologer because I'm really feeling a higher vibration, a more positive vibration from a lot of the malefic planets. So if you hear me say some stuff that seems very different than other people, I just want to warn you, I will. And then this is based on whole sign Western astrology. When we go through the signs today, it's going to be based on the rising sign. I actually think the moon is the most important planet. We are humans. We base our manifestations on our emotional body and our beliefs. So I would very much check my moon sign. And then if you have, and of course your sun, and if you have a stellium, it's 3 or more personal planets in one sign or house. This would actually, that's a very strong focus of your soul. So that's how that's going to roll. We're going to look at a few of the transits that are happening this week. And then we're going to do an angel reading and pull a tarot card for each sign. We're going to start with the birthday month of Gemini. Happy birthday, Gemini. What a way to start your solar return, having Jupiter coming into your first house. That's pretty exciting. And Jupiter is making a trine to Pluto. And while that may seem a little, oh, Pluto's so scary, it's really offering revolution. It's offering a new, putting into flight the ideas that you had while you were experiencing Jupiter's transit through your 12th house. Okay. Yes, I think it's a beautiful gift. And I want to say this, those that are using their consciousness, AKA their intellect and their mind in balance, understanding the wisdom of the big concepts being integrated into our everyday experiences. It's not a light switch. It's more of this sort of pacing. It's like you're making your life is a big sauce, right? And you're putting these herbs into the sauce and you're allowing them an opportunity to become, to blossom as they marinate. Because the marination, I think a lot of that again was happening during Taurus, and now we're going to see something, I think, over this next year that could be very powerful, that when Jupiter moves into its exaltation will be even more delicious. Now, I say this while the United States itself is going through some very interesting transformations, and I want to offer this because I believe there'll be a bit of a polarity, meaning those that are really anchored into their human experience and things happen to them and they don't understand that they're co-creating may have a little more challenges, but those that are standing in awareness and looking for the wisdom of the dip or the wisdom of the challenge or the wisdom, what it presents, will really benefit in a very strong way. So I think that's important. So let's talk about the transits this week, because the Sun and Venus are both in Gemini, and Jupiter now has entered it yesterday. It's just, creeping in. And as Pluto retrogrades, it's going to have a very strong conversation Pluto is in Aquarius, and as it continues to move towards that 0 degree and Jupiter moves into Gemini, I just feel like the revolutionary energy, meaning the I want to revolutionize my everyday life. I want to do something that feels bigger than I've ever done before. Now, the challenge there could potentially be like, how do I do it? But that's where the mercurial thing, the pacing, the everyday, doing a little something every day, maybe two things because it's in Gemini, right? And one of them could be meditation easily. And I want to offer this because meditation can be done in the shower while you're getting ready for your day. And the awareness of the water representing the emotional body can give you a really powerful connection. Oftentimes, spirit will show itself through electricity. And what does electricity come from? It's water. So there's a lot of power in that moment. You don't have to sit, for 15 minutes in the Om position. It's more about intention. So I think that's we're gonna feel this growing trine. And as Pluto is actually retrograding, Pluto is like revisiting the anchors that no longer serve emotionally. It's revisiting the idea of what are the groups that I want to align myself to that support the new version of myself. And then, of course, Jupiter in Gemini is offering us this sort of expansion within our everyday life. Now, the interesting thing too about Jupiter in Gemini is people who have jobs related to this sort of commingling, like anything to do with transportation, tourism, I'm trying to think, and people within the court system, the legal systems, like stenographers and paralegals, they could see an expansion within their work, or their work could be taking them new directions. I did a little 15-minute video on Jupiter and Gemini, so you might want to check that out. But anyway, because I want to offer this is all, again, an awareness of things so that when opportunities come up, you step through. Part of it is you stepping through and thinking that you're smart enough and brave enough to do that. The exact trine between Jupiter and Pluto will happen on the 1st, which is next Saturday. And so this whole week will be a very powerful time for that awareness, and then walking with spirit in being inspired into your ideas. We have Mercury in a sextile to Saturn. That's kind of a nice transition because Mercury rules Gemini. It is in Taurus, and making the sextile to Saturn in Pisces all week is aligning me to my spiritual thoughts, like thinking long term. I have very much in my mind a warrior. Like I want to when I'm angry about something or frustrated or I'm not getting things to move in a fair way, part of me wants to punch it, not people, but just that's my Aries rising. And what I've been conscious of is Saturn telling me about pacing and about timing and about being effectual and about not just reacting to something. So here we see Mercury in Taurus reviewing things that are important to me as far as what my money goes, my personal history, making a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, which also rules history, both Pisces and Saturn. So I'm thinking about how I've been historically and now implementing the thoughts that I want to nurture, the thoughts I want to grow upon, the thoughts I want to be the strong earth I walk upon. Then this week we have Mars and Chiron dancing around each other as Mars, finishes up its journey through its rulership. Now this is the part that gets a little bit, I think, a little challenging because Mars can be resentful. And Mars can be very angry, and Mars can say, you don't see me, I have to do everything by myself. Mars is the pioneer, does things that people haven't done before. So here, the thoughts, Mercury and making the sextile to Saturn can sort of soften if we are aware the dance that Mars and Chiron are doing in Aries. Because that's sort of this, how long are you going to sit in the wound, and when will you allow its transformation? When will you know that challenge, that dip, that experience was really something that supported a bigger version of who and what you want to be. And as you are aware of the co-creator within you, these experiences and situations and people can really expand us in ways that change our soul's imprint. It almost like it overlaps. The more challenging dynamics seem to fade more into the background, and the more exciting and opportunistic elements start to rise to the top. And I think that's where all of us are headed as we sit in this awareness, and we're looking for things. So let's go into our readings for the week, see what the angels have to say. As always, we're going to start with our birthday. Small, aren't you a Gemini sun? I know I've got your chart somewhere. Is it your birthday? Is it coming up? Are you going to tell us? I'm going to look a little bit. Aren't you a Gemini sun? I know you're mercurial, but I always... Gemini rising. Okay. And then the Virgo sun, is that what it is? Okay. All right. So, okay, here we go. Let's start with our Gemini rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card for the week is the Star. Happy birthday. This is lovely, lovely, lovely. First of all, it rules faith. Obviously, the Star rules also astrology, rules the 11th house of Aquarius in your transformation as Jupiter enters your first house, and it trines your 5th house of Aquarius, which is also your house of creativity. Here you can see that the maiden is pouring her emotions into something. She's watching it, raise her focus, but what she doesn't realize is what's going on behind the scenes and what the opportunities here that are in what appear to be the smaller urn. So as she becomes more aware of the pathways, she starts to open up to a bigger picture of what can happen with the stars. So I think this is really terrific for you, Gemini. And I didn't say this earlier, but I want to acknowledge that Jupiter's in detriment in Gemini, but I also want to kind of reframe that because Jupiter is a natural foreign traveler. And in such, Jupiter says, I'm willing to explore. And in Gemini, it's just more about exploring the small towns than it is about exploring the large lands. So I want to acknowledge that. And those of you that have Jupiter in Sagittarius, like I do, we'll start to experience its opposition, which will be interesting because it's like expansion of beliefs put into the everyday world. All right, here we go. Let's do your reading. What could potentially be going on in the background for our Gemini rising, moon, sun, and stelliums? Our first angel is Indriel, the light worker. The second is Layla, a connection to spirit. The third is Teresa, to relieve worry. And Aurora says, you're flying high, Jupiter in your first house. Don't descend. When I'm looking at the star card as I'm shuffling, obviously her nakedness represents a vulnerability. And yet what I notice most is her foot is not sinking into the water, but rather on top of it. So I feel like this could represent sitting on top of your emotions or what it is that you've been pouring your heart into, yet at the same time, there could be, sometimes a dream doesn't die, it reframes, okay, Pluto, trine. So if there's a reframe of your dream, I don't think that's a bad thing so much. Let's look and see. Indriel, the light worker, is being joined by the goblin. Layla is being joined by the hawk. Teresa is being joined by the burden card. And Aurora is being joined by the wind fairy. That's so interesting because of all this air that's going on in your first house of self, of how you perceive yourself, how you define yourself. when I look at this right now, I feel as if for my Geminis that there is potentially a shift in the way that you want to shine your light out into the world. And I want to offer it this way because sometimes the shift is something that is, not every shift is like, conquering a big mountain. Sometimes it's just allowing for the deeper truth. I think more humans want to be like animals and spend more time relaxing and enjoying themselves, and they want to necessarily fix the world or conquer the world. And when I look at this, I feel like there's the potential that Gemini is not seeing some things coming in the background because they're focused over here, and this is swirling somehow. So something is going around and around, and it feels like it's emotional because that water represents emotion. Now we have Layla, who is about getting together with spirit and, connecting with your deepest desires. Okay. And here is the hawk. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's Layla over here. And here's the hawk. The hawk is an 11. This is, again, to me, 11s are the master number of thought. And so this is about rising above a situation because something is happening behind the scenes that you can't see. Then we have Teresa. Your head is going back and forth. This is a little bit of the challenge, okay? The dark side of Jupiter's entry into Gemini is like an expansion of all your thoughts and the duplicity of the thoughts going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's where awareness becomes so powerful, because the awareness of your imprint with Gemini would be thinking too much. With Aries, it's too hot and angry. And when you have an awareness of it, you can be, okay, I can make a choice right now. I can't really do anything about what's happening behind the scenes. And here I'm also, this is a card of faith. Hi, Stephen. This is a card of faith. So even though you might feel like things are just moving around in a circle, your vulnerability and your willingness to start to think something could be happening that I'm not aware of, that's teeing me up. Because Aurora says you're flying high right now. Don't descend, because you will soon inspire other people. And there's the wind fairy. If this isn't Gemini, I don't know what is. And then it's a 29, which reduces down to an 11. So part of what's going on for Gemini, if you think about the idea of Jupiter representing religion, represents, the connection to the angelic realm, big philosophies. Now in Gemini, we're putting them into the physical experience every single day, in my thoughts every day, in my everyday travels to where I'm going and what I'm doing. And so this is separating you from the human experience. On some level, this will be calling you to not really interact with the potential nattering or gossip around you, but rather to focus in on your emotional body, your faith, and using that as you're waiting for the baton pass from God and the angels for the next step. And then that's going to start to build a momentum. And that's what I think is so beautiful about this, because as a Gemini rising, Cancer is your second house. So when Jupiter moves into its exaltation in 2025, you can see a huge expansion of all of the things you've been nurturing and how you want to live and the home you want to live in and the way that you want to spend your everyday life and make your money. So this is really, really powerful, because what's anchoring in now is that belief system. And I want to offer you this because I've been telling you guys randomly that I just celebrated 10 years in April of working for myself. And the momentum that I have in my trust with spirit is really, really the most powerful thing that's happened in those 10 years. Because every time I require a resource or something and I have an awareness and I go into that conversation, then spirit starts to align things and starts to work in my favor. And I feel very, very connected and protected, mostly protected. All right. So happy birthday, Gemini. Celebrate. And don't overdo it. That's the little shadow side of Jupiter, that big expansion. Okay. Now we go on to our Cancers. Your tarot card is the infusion of something into the material. Now, I always love this card because I see that garden. And to me, that's my secret garden, my dream garden, where the things that I want to experience are before me. And when I see the mountain encased within that archway or trellis type thing, it feels like the big hills to climb are way off over here. And now it's just about pacing myself. Pace, pace. All right, let's see where we're going. And as I start to say that, my late born Cancers will experience an opposition from Pluto, as Pluto does that last degree of Capricorn again. And that could be just a little revisit and fine tuning of the things that you really, really want. Cancer has a default, right? Cancer's default is, this is what I want for me, but how will everybody else be affected by it? Which is beautiful, right? It's super loving, but at the same time, there is a little bit of when you really focus on what you want without worrying about everybody that you are beholden to and that you love, that you end up being like a leader and bringing them into that dream garden of their own. And that's maybe the greatest gift that you can give the people that you love around you. So let's see what the angels have to say. I'm going to take a quick sip of my tea. I made strawberry salsa yesterday, strawberry peach salsa. It's so delicious. And I used the strawberry tops to make tea. So delicious. Okay, here we go. This is for Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is, dun, 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 Merlina. Then we have Celeste. Then we have Ray. And finally, Bridget. Merlina, I often see her like the counterpart for Merlin in the other deck. And yet today, for some reason, with the ace, there's a new beginning, right? There's a new infusion of energy. We know that Gemini is your 12th house. So now there could be, with this new energy, a revisit of some of your belief systems. The 12th house is the house that is the house of self-troubles. It's a house of ancestral imprint and connection. It is the house where we don't see how we get in our own way. And Gemini might be a little bit of an overthinker. So I guess this is coming out. There's Merlina is being joined by the king. Celeste is being joined by the dragon. Ray's being joined by the lady of the lake. And Bridget is being joined by the B card. So earlier I just said that with Cancer, sometimes you can defer, like you look at your dream and what it is you want, and then you look about how it's going to affect everybody else before you actually allow it to blossom. I look at this and I feel as if the king represents justice, law. I don't know if it's necessarily a male energy, but here is Merlina representing a little bit of confusion. And that made me feel like confusion is a pause. Confusion is a moment to be like, I'm not sure. So let the universe, let me somehow connect with my guides, my angels, my divine beings, so that I can get clarity versus taking action in a wobble. Because Celeste represents a new move to a home or a place of employment, but it also represents a shift in the way you're thinking for me. You put me anywhere in the world and I think a certain way, so it doesn't matter where I am physically. This calm, cool dragon makes me feel like that's how you're going to get your leadership, is to stop for a minute if you're confused, to dig deeper into pondering down, meandering down that road to your dreams. You know, in this picture, there are no beings. There are no live beings except the hand of God offering you a dream in the material. So Cancer, it's so important to connect with that hand of God, because we have that emphasized here by Ray. Ray talks about, connection to the divine for me. She's in a meditative position. Her power, her third eye, really comes from her ability to connect with what she wants. The green stripe representing her heart and the blue stripe representing her speech And here we see the truth, having the courage to, because that considering of other people is obligatory in some way. And the opposition to Pluto, as Pluto retrogrades into Capricorn, meaning it's going to be opposing Cancer, is going to call forth a deeper truth, and that truth, I think, is a very loving truth that says to the people around you, I follow my dreams, you can follow yours. Because here, Bridget is saying to look deeper into your being energy. Are you really it's so funny how we can do this without even being conscious of it. We make decisions based on our pack, our tribe, how people will respond. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's not a good idea. Da, da, da. So for me, I think that this particular week, as Jupiter enters your 12th house, you have an opportunity to pace yourself. Understand that the connection with spirit does not always come in just meditation, but it also comes in being aware of the things around you and the things that you hear, the subtleties that you hear, that will be God handing you this opportunity to anchor your personal, just table for one, honestly, the ace, table for one dream into the physical world. And then when Jupiter moves into your first house of exaltation, yum-licious, okay? Let's just say it. New word. I don't know if I made it up, but it felt like I did. Onward and upward as we head into our Leo energy. Leo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Your tarot card for this week is the High Priestess. This is a very feminine, receptive, intuitive energy. It is, we see the pomegranates around her throne indicate her connection to her emotional body is so incredibly important. The moon anchors at her feet. Her garment is interwoven. Now, those early born Leos are experiencing, the opposition as Pluto's been in Aquarius. And, when you're within a 2 to 3 degree orb, of any planet, it's the energies become very intense and very fused together. So Pluto, while it, little planet packs a punch, the punch is to kind of sometimes wake us up to our deeper truth. And what does Leo represent but the heart and the courage to implement the heart, right? So here, I think this is going to be a deep connection to your oversoul, when I look at the garment that she's wearing, being all these different shades of blue, it very much is speaking to me in my throat chakra and my inner voice combined with my physical experience, and how am I managing those two things together, All right, Leo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Celeste. The third is Rochelle. Ooh, this is all about your heart. And the final is Bridget. I kind of want to go back to what I said earlier about using your shower time as meditation, as a way to, in your mind, connect with your guides, your angels, however you want to phrase them, and really speaking from your heart, not from your head. This is not about how will I do that in the rational, realistic experience. None of this is about that. This is all about something will feel magical to the outside world, but is it magical, or is it not just using the divine laws of the universe with prowess? Let's see. Oceana is being joined by the novice. Celeste is being joined by the restriction card. Rochelle's being joined by the disruption card. And the final is Bridget being joined by the deer. This would very much represent that this particular week, you could be experiencing Leo rising and moon and sun this confusion between what you're experiencing in the 3D world and what you want to experience in your heart and your soul. And this is really an opportunity to start to give yourself permission to start to shift the way that you're approaching a situation. Oceana is all about my emotional body. That is so incredibly focused back to the High Priestess. And here's this unstable new beginning. The unstable new beginning is the be, do, have. What is my being energy? What do I believe about a situation to the depths of my heart? Not what I want, but what do I really believe about it? So let's say that you want to win the lottery, but deep down inside you're like, oh, I'll never win the lottery. The odds are 3 to 1. Oh, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to pretend I believe. I'm going to pretend I believe, and then you won't win. You won't win because there's something going on in the unfortunate Leo fixed energy, because fixed can be a little hard. There's a restriction to the shift. The shift, whatever job you want, whatever move you want to make, there's a restriction to it because there's something deeper. There's a deeper truth that's being revealed. And the reveal is, I believe, within your heart, but it may not be the collective's, what the collective will applaud about, because Rochelle is talking about coming from your heart. And then I have this disruption card, which makes me think you're not coming from your heart. Somehow you're coming from a combination of your head and your heart. And that head and that heart is not necessarily going to fool the universe. Okay? Because Bridget is sitting here saying, look deeper into your fears. And this is why I think that there's a connection to spirit. Let me say that more clearly. The connection to spirit is to say, if I have this yearning in my heart for this experienced spirit, I would like you to give me an inspired action to move my story forward so that I can anchor in my belief in the material world. When I was first starting to be Teri, that was just an average Joe, because I don't have any books out. I'm not famous, I mean, occasionally people recognize me from YouTube. That's so weird. But I'm just a normal person. And the privilege of being able to do this work for the last 10 years and stand on my own 2 feet that way is something that comes from my being energy. And it comes from when I started saying to spirit, if I was meant to do this, as my throat starts to choke, then give me the resources to feel safe. That's my Taurus moon, as I endeavor this work. And spirit did that. So that's what I think is going on for my Leos. There's something about a deeper truth and a willingness to start to take the reins of that truth and use it as the anchor for the blossoming. Now let's just quickly back the bus up. So Leo, 1st house, Cancer, 12th house, Gemini, 11th house of hopes and dreams, the natural house that sees to the future, that is revolutionary in some ways. So I kind of feel like, and then layering over the idea that Jupiter's moving into your 11th house of Gemini, that's very social. It's very much like as if the World Wide Web are your best friends. I mean, you can make the neighborhood out of the internet or out of the collective, and starting to implement that, and starting to think about the idea that Jupiter is in the house of, which is considered an upachaya house that rewards over time. That's the imprint of the Aquarian foundation of the 11th house. So I think that and your 11th house is going to trine the Aquarian energy anyway. So there's something here for my Leos about connecting with spirit, about digging deep into your heart, about being willing to do the co-creation of your focus, of being aware of your being energy and being gentle with yourself as you pace yourself through this. Yeah, I think that's why I wasn't sure if we should do today, because it is kind of quiet. I don't know what's going on with me. This week, I got to tell you, I got bit by some wild ass spider, man. This woman spider, I assume, she was out for vengeance. She must have bit me 13 times, all over my right inner thigh, down by my ankle. I mean, I got to tell you, I've been putting calamine lotion and charcoal all over my body and on my new carpet, dribbling it as I'm trying to walk and do things. It's a weird week. All right, we're on to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card this week is the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is actually a very Virgonian energy. There's a steadiness to it. There's a pacing. Now, I know Virgo is ruled by Mercury and moves quickly, but here, this is where we see the sixth house imprint. This is where I feel it actually does rule Virgo. So let's see where we're going, because there could be, let's see where we're going before I pontificate. Whenever we get people, I'm always gotta look. Oh, there were like 13 of them. It's crazy. And they're so huge. I felt like I was on Survivor. I'm like, I could never be on that island. I'm just too much of a wimp. I'd be like, give me food. I don't like the bug bites. I don't like sleeping on the bed. I just like to watch it on TV. Okay, here we go. I digress. For our Virgos, the Knight is being joined by Crystal, the angel of faith and hope. Then we have Oceana, the emotional angel. Mystique, keep charging ahead. And then Bridget, 3 times in a row here. Wow, okay. I wonder if that's that Mars and Chiron dance all week. Because now I know that the Knight is like, just stay the course, just stay the course, be steady. Even if you can't see something happening. And, sometimes we like to, earth signs like to see something happening. Crystal's being joined by the Queen. Oceana's being joined by the Love card. Mystique's being joined by the Novice. And Bridget's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Okay, so I would say this for my Virgos. Now, we know Saturn is opposing your first house in the sign of Pisces, and that is your 7th house. So that could be both professional partnerships as well as personal partnerships. It's also a sense of peace and harmony. When I look at the Knight of Pentacles, I think this is really about staying the course. It's about knowing that things take time to grow. And sometimes when the earth signs, they tend to want to plow ahead, right? But there are times once you've planted the seed that there's nothing to do but make sure that the soil is moist. So here, Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon, because something is you're going to receive something. Something is gestating. Something is coming to you, and it could have something to do with women in your life. And we've got Venus and the Sun together in Gemini, so it could have something to do with. It could have something to do with the siblings for some reason. When I'm checking into the Virgo energy right now, I almost feel like potentially it could have to do with the women in your life, or how women influence you in some way. But I want to go back to the idea of staying the course, of being steady, Oceana and the Love card, I think very much is talking about coming from your heart, for you. And I want to offer this, because if you are building something that you can't quite see yet, if you're starting, some sort of practices that are heart-based, but you don't know if they're going to make resources for you, this is about staying the course and just allowing the joy of it, the fun of it, and what will happen later will roll out a little more succinctly, because Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead, and then we have a new beginning being offered to you. And if you've been, because I always suggest, if you're going to change careers and start a heart-based career, then keeping your day job while you're, fluffing this up is very important. And there's something about being steady and staying the course. Now, Bridget in the final position could be a little bit of a challenge, because here you sit in a place of reception, looking and saying, wow, okay, I'm starting to build this. I'm gestating this. I'm growing this. It's taking time. And now here's Bridget saying to look deeper into your heart versus your head. Your ruling planet is making a sextile to Saturn this week, and Mercury being in Taurus again, this could be again a fellow earth sign, so something could be growing, and your spiritual practices of trusting the unseen, which is not necessarily natural for you but can be cultivated, is what is on the books here. And this is all the earth signs are getting an opportunity to trust that what they love will bring security and bounty to them. That's part of what's going on. Okay, on to our Libras. Rising moon, sun, and stellium. Mars and Chiron doing a dance. Yeah, it could be a mamba. Yeah, but isn't there one the paso doble is what I think it is that they're doing. It's much more aggressive than the mamba. The mamba's a little fun. If I remember my Dancing with the Stars correctly. Okay. Yeah. What is that one? That's a paso doble, isn't it? I think so. All right, here we go. Libra, are you ready? Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Five of Pentacles. This is not an easy energy. This is a little bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Now, the South Node is going through your first house, and there's a lot of activity going on in your seventh house. That's where the mamba or the paso doble is happening for you. Let's see where we're going with this, because one of the main themes of this Five of Pentacles is the solutions are presented, but the people are so into their issue that they're not being able to see the opportunities that lie ahead. The opportunity to go to the church door and knock in and say, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm hurt. Let's look and see. Our first angel is Teresa. That's about worry. Then we have Layla connecting with your team above, your guides, your angels, the universe at large. We have Merlina. This could be about confusion. We'll know in a minute. And then we have Daniel, the angel of partnership. Something's going on in your seventh house. Now, while it may not be easy, said no Virgo ever. You could be having some stuff, old wounds being brought up within your seventh house energy, So let's look and see where we're going here. Because the whole axis of the Libra Aries axis and the nodes traveling through them right now is being able to find the balance between partnership and the self, and two me's becoming a we. And this is not at this moment indicating physical health. It might be indicating a feeling rejected within the relationship. Teresa's being joined by the Baird. Layla's being joined by the Water Fairy. Merlina's being joined by the Stag. And Daniel's being joined by the Disruption card. This might be a little bit challenging. Now, I'm a Libra sun, but I'm not in a partnership in any way. So this doesn't feel like it's about me, but at the same time, this is why I'm saying this, is because not every Libra is going to be in a partnership or in a marriage. But there is something coming up about a history of feeling rejected, a history of feeling unseen in some way, or a history of not being able to feel able to walk into a solution, being kind of stuck, because the Baird rules history and the story that we tell. And here is Teresa, and there's that South Node going through your first house in this energy that can be erosive. It can be a bit, the egoless part of it, the spiritual dynamic, the habits that it represents, right? Now here's Layla. Talk to God about your emotional body, what it is you want, what you need. Because when I look at Merlina and the angels advice with the Stag, while it could represent taking leadership, I think you're confused as to how to take leadership for yourself. If you've been in a situation, this could be a professional partnership. It could be with the Aries energy in your seventh house. There are layers of, Aries is individualistic. It wants to do something new. It wants to stretch itself. It's where, champion athletes and gladiators live, right? So there is this combination of Libra rising wanting to be all it can be for itself while being connected with others. And I feel like when I look at this, potentially there's a historic issue going on that Libra feels they can't, for some reason, do something. They can't assert themselves, or they can't get over the hump of it. And Daniel, it represents the angel of marriage and the history you have in partnerships. And then there's the disruption card. I literally think like Spirit is saying that, Libra, stop telling the old story. Some stories just don't change. Some stories just are the same. What will you do with it? You're born into a certain landscape, and you learn how to work around the landscape, or how to, extract the benefit from the landscape. Somewhere here, there feels like potentially you could be revisiting the more challenging sides of the Libra energy, and the paso doble that Mars, that rules men and is exalted in your 7th house. Is the ruler of your 7th house. So the boss is there, and at the same time asking, the North Node is there. There's this ravenous experience for Libra to be seen as an individual in their relationship, but part of it is allowing yourself to feel it. Feel it first. Telling the old story doesn't help. I have my Libra sun has been going through some interesting things, and I have a Aries rising, so I'm on the axis of all this, and I have this part of me that wants to just blow up. Like I have these terrible dark fantasies of extracting, non-criminal yet satisfying revenge on those that hurt me. And I know that this does not work for me. Okay, I know this is potentially a soul imprint of me reacting to something in an Aryan way, and I get to be a Libra about this. I get to go through the justice system. I get to be smart. I get to be diplomatic. I get to shift my soul's imprint right now, but it isn't easy for me. It's like I'm more like I can feel the old me, and I literally pull her away. No, I don't want to it's like quitting smoking, right? I've gotten so far. I don't want to go back into an old habit. Libra, this is something about going into an old habit here. And I feel like I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing sort of out of nervousness, because I just know how not easy this is to do when we get into it. But look at how I have evidence to prove why I feel this way. But is it serving you? Is it serving you? So this is where this week you could find yourself, and I want to offer this too, because all the air signs will be in a trine to Jupiter in Gemini, Pluto's little degrees in Aquarius. So there's a real opportunity to expand how you feel and how you think about things. All right, onward and upward. Yeah, there can be a little bit of, we can't help ourselves sometimes. The South Node is making a transit on the Self. It's not an easy transit. And if you think about Pisces is Libra, Aries. Pisces is that 6th house of enslavement. So there's something going on, and it could even be a health issue that's been repetitive, but it feels more like stress to me. Oh, Jules, that's pretty powerful. What I noticed is that, hey, Jen, Pluto is making sextiles to my South Node and to my natal Jupiter. So I feel like there's something good coming. I've started to look at the subtleties. Also, transit Pluto is making a sextile to transit Neptune for like the next decade. So there is really going to be, I believe, I say it repeatedly, sort of this division of people who really start to connect to that we are universal. And when we connect into those universal laws, we are magical, or at least we appear to be. And I think that's really going to take place. So that's what I think Pluto is offering most of us. All right, here we go. On to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And there is the moon. Now, the moon in the tarot is traditionally a card where there's confusion and there's duplicity, the dog and the wolf, or the dog and the coyote. Um, the lobster is interesting. I still have trouble trying to figure out what that lobster really means as it's coming up onto that long and winding road up the hill. Let's see where we're going, because I don't always look at the moon as being, a prison of some kind of emotional thing, because the moon isn't that. This is a Piscean energy, actually, too. There's a little Pisces wrapped around this. We see the Cancer energy in the Chariot. So let's see where we're going. Whoa. All right. Our first angel is Bridget. So she shows up in the foundational position this time. The second is Patience. Ooh, Chantal is in the Angel's Advice. And then we have Grace and Antoinette. Okay. I want to offer this. When you feel like good things are coming, don't forget you're a co-creator, right? It's the time you start to take credit for your co-creation and stay focused on it. That's Chiron, transformed. That's the wound into the gift. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking credit, because you never have 100% credit. There's always a triad of some kind. There's some human or human situation, and you, and then spirit, So celebrate those things. All right, Scorpio. Bridget is asking you to look deeper into your Pluto energy, birth and rebirth. Patience is being joined by the cool, calm, and power and strength of the dragon. Chantal is about romance, and the communications card is joining that. And then we have Grace and Antoinette, and is being joined by the Fear card. This is all about you, Scorpio. Now, the little bit of the challenge about Pluto, your ruling planet, is starting to square the fixed signs. Early born Scorpios are going to feel this first. And if you've watched me for a while, I think a square is this tense moment between an awareness of my old habits and this wanting to birth a new dynamic, a new part, something I know, what I was just talking about a minute ago, because that could be with the moon. It's like there's that lovey puppy dog, and then there's the feral animal dog. And I feel like Bridget is saying, look deeper into your desires, look deeper into your psychological motivations. So often people think if they see evidence of connection, that it makes them safe in the connection. And that isn't true. I mean, watch 2020 on any Friday night, and you'll find out you can see your spouse in your home, and your spouse could do the most terrible things to you. This is a feeler energy. This moon is about feeling the connection. It's about feeling, trusting the deeper inner knowing that you represent. I am a complete believer that Scorpio is the most intuitive sign of the whole zodiac. Their need for power and control on the dark side makes them watch everything, hear everything, compute everything, and see those deeper levels of those around them in the environment and where their weaknesses are. That's an intuitive quality. So now you transform that into the peaceful warrior, right? This is where the Mars energy becomes brave in understanding that psychological dynamic. And instead of using it to manipulate, use it to inspire in your relationships. Because Patience is asking you to observe, to study how you assert your power and control in your life. A calm, cool hand, because the angels are offering you, like, my mom used to say, you get more get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. And I think that's a little bit of what's going on here, because I think in the Angel's Advice, this is about example love, like loving on yourself, being trusting of the universe, knowing that, you're powerful enough in any situation to understand your own motivations. And in this communications card is a softening, because here's Grace and Antoinette, and there's your fears. And if you are, because I kind of feel like this for Scorpio, you could potentially be meeting or being in a situation that's important to you. And the vulnerability of that could be messing with you a little bit. Like, you either have an opportunity that you've always wanted and it's so important to you that suddenly you feel like, well, if this is something I want, I'm not going to get it. And that's not true. So this is about starting to rewrite that story for yourself and starting to understand that in many ways, fear is the very thing that gives us the feelings of achievement and of exhilaration and the power to change our lives. So having fear with the unknown or grace or compassion for yourself of the unknown right now will rebirth you in a stronger way moving forward. Okay, onward and upward to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Hey, Lucy Rose. Good to see you. Welcome to the room. Stephen got quiet. Is he still with us? Or did he just pop in for a sec? Hello, everybody. If I didn't say hi to you, welcome, welcome. We're well on our way. We're going to go on to Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you are a Gemini and just entered the room, I want to wish you a happy, happy birthday. Oh, what did I just do? Okay, moon goes over here. All right, Sagittarius, here we go. Ooh, the Page of Pentacles. This is an infusion of the earth air, new ideas, new things going on. Now think about your ruling planet just moved into its detriment, but we don't know if it's so detriment. We get to be new, going into the neighborhood, learning things from the ground up. That's what I want to say. Okay. For some reason, every time I feel this energy lately, it's like Jupiter is saying, I'm going to have these great thoughts, these big ideas, and I'm going to put them in my everyday world. And that's how I'm going to, hey, Les, welcome to the room. Hi, Matthew. That's what I think is going to happen here. And as I look at Sagittarius, your ruling planet moving into everyday life, everyday thoughts, everyday routines. All right. We have Rochelle. As you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, Sonia, your team is with you. Layla, use your team, talk to your team, connect with your team. You are protected through Xana's energy. One of the things that Jupiter rules is the judicial system, along with many other things. And, when it comes to that, I think of fairness, and I think of creating a sense of wisdom through the diversity, right? And so if any of you are experiencing any sort of, unfairness, maybe this is a little bit of putting your heart into your physical experience. Hold on, let's see. Rochelle is being joined by the forgiveness card. Sonia is being joined by the cow. Layla's being joined by the wealth card. And Xana's being joined by the wind fairy. Okay. So as we see Jupiter move into Gemini, that is your 7th house. And, I think on some level that what this is all about is that you're going to start to see, really, when I put the whole spread together, I think you're going to start to see yourself making money through partnerships or connections in your 7th house within the neighborhood. Some of you may even, who knows, work with a sibling, but it's just a beginning. Okay. It's just the beginning. That's what the page is. He's sort of a novice, and he's taking his ideas and he's putting them into the physical experience. Now we have following your heart, and the forgiveness card feels like, I like this. I trust what I want is powerful enough to give me resources, because God and the angels are telling you it is. It is. It is. Here's we see the wealth of the cow. Pardon me. Frog in my throat. Asking and receiving. Spirit, Wealth comes from your connection to spirit. Protection from as you start to voice and speak in a way that is from your heart. So here we go, Sagittarius. In your seventh house, we see the Gemini energy. It's playful, it's curious, it's very social. And I almost feel like there are things going on for you that could create a sense of peace and harmony as you birth into those seventh house dynamics, the things of your heart that you want to make money from. Like when I first started doing spiritual work, I still had a day job, but I would host little events for people, or I'd give Reiki demonstrations or various things. And I feel like that's part of what's going on here, that you're building a little something. And as you start to put it in the earth, you're literally protected from your brain exploding. I say that lovingly, but sometimes we can overthink things. And Jupiter in the sign of Gemini could seriously overthink things. Literally, you could get a little out of control. But overall, this feels like it's the beginning of something. And again, I want to sort of make note that as you move through this year and you kind of broaden those everyday relationships, somehow within your everyday experience, creating something from your heart. As Jupiter moves into the 8th house of Cancer for you, it will create an opportunity to make money from other people, and they will feel warm and loved through your teachings. Don't forget, Jupiter is the shaman. Okay, onward and upward to our Capricorns. I can't decide if those over 55 communities are actually good or if they sort of put you in a different vibration. I don't know. I can never decide. I've been trying to decide. I want to replant myself. I just don't know where to replant myself. I keep telling Spirit, because I just really, personally, the highway has just become like the Autobahn. And my bedroom is, less than 25 feet from it. And I was having noise pollution personally, and I'm getting a little, okay. Capricorn, here we go. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, the 3 of Cups. It's a fun card. It's a card of celebration. It's also a card of wisdom, as it represents the female experience in the stages of wisdom, from the naive one to the maternal one to the wise one. And there's a sense of harvest. They're celebrating what they have created. And I very much believe that Capricorn has been going through an emotional metamorphosis, as the planet of the deepest levels of our psychological imprint has been going through your first house for ever and ever. But it's going to re-enter for a final visit and then mosey on into your second house, where you could bring great abundance to you. Oh, how's that affecting you? Small. Is it not good? Well, we'll send good love to you, Lucy, so that works itself out. Oh, really? Maybe there are crystals that you can put in your property or around you to mitigate that buzz. All right, here we go. Capricorn, our first angel is Teresa, the angel of worry. The second is Merlina. The third is Caressa. And the final is Ray. All right, Teresa's being joined by the focus card. Merlina's being joined by the dog. Caressa's being joined by the Grail Knight. And Ray's being joined by Merlin. Ooh, yay! Okay, this is what I want to say. I love my Capricorns. I don't know where this love came from. Maybe it's my Venus at 10 degrees in Virgo. I don't know. But I really think that you have learned how to refocus on prioritizing. And that's why I see Teresa, as she talks about not worrying about everybody else, and that focus card. And I go back to the 3 here and the 33 here. There's a wisdom of, it almost feels like a balancing of when I pay attention to what others want from me or need from me or think about me. And then those that, I have for myself, because Merlina here and the dog. Now, oftentimes I think of Merlina as the female version of Merlin. Merlin is magical, creates balance, and represents alchemy and justice. And here's the dog. And I think that you're starting to see a wisdom in having a certain amount of loyalty to your own desires, your own wants, what you want to build for yourself. The dog is also a 19, which reduces down to a 10. The 10 is a master number of thought. Now we go Caressa is an angel's advice telling you that a happy new beginning is coming as one chapter closes. That's Pluto moving out of your first house. And now the Grail Knight is saying, absolutely bow down to that which is sacred to you. What is most important to you? What makes you feel, it may sound like I promote selfishness, but really what I promote is balance, because people are overly focused on other people's opinions of what they're doing, their judgment of what we're doing, our wants and our desires. And here we have Capricorn being offered a real new alchemy, justice, and balance beginning as you connect and you work those spiritual practices into your everyday life. This is one of the things about your ruling planet going through Pisces right now, is really basing the manifestations in the physical here from a divine platform. And while there's a lot of history that can come up when Saturn is moving through Pisces, you both really ruled a deep, deep imprint. Your souls are thousands, if not millions of years old. They're not just born yesterday. So there's a lot to unpack sometimes. All right, on to our Aquariuses. Ooh, the Page of Thought. This is very, very, these are new thoughts, since we see the wind moving here, right? Aquarius, Gemini is trining you, right? Jupiter moving into Gemini. And we have Venus in a trine and Sun as well. So there is very much an opportunity for new ideas, for things to move. Now, as I look at this, I also feel like there's the potential for something to cut through the muck. I felt like I was looking at this, and he's ready to cut through the muck. So let's see where we're going here. Okay, Fiona says, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. You are a child of God. And Opal is telling you that you're being cared for. Oceana is telling you to come from your heart. And then Layla is asking you to connect to gain perspective. Okay. Fiona's being joined by the Earth Fairy. Opal's being joined by the Queen. Oceana is being joined by the Owl. And Layla is being joined by the dog. As I look at this and I think about the idea that, Pluto is transiting your first house, it is going to dip back into your 12th house for just a moment at 29 degrees, rewriting some of your thought processes or breaking down old structures of exile or feeling alone or feeling like I got to do everything myself. That's how it's coming through intuitively. Because as Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, it almost feels like you're creating a new foundation for yourself based on that idea, but you're still practicing. You're still practicing that your true foundation doesn't come from the efforts you make as you walk the earth, but the efforts you make to align your thoughts. Here's Opal telling you that you're being cared for by God, and here's the receptive queen energy. This is where things come to me rather than me having to effort for them. The efforts come in aligning my thoughts to things I haven't seen yet. This is the biggest challenge, but what's the old saying? I'll believe it when I see it. That's the absolute opposite of how it actually plays out, because the spirit is offering you an opportunity to really dig deep into your emotional body and to continue to rise up to where you want to be, and to recognize that there is a certain amount of a back and forth that's going on, but the wisdom that comes from that back and forth. Sometimes the earth plane tells us something that is actually a lie. It is not the truth of what we are, but what's being framed to keep all the souls aligned into what is manageable for other humans. So here, Layla is saying, stay connected to God and the angels, because that which you love will come into its manifestation. But you're going through a metamorphosis, and that will be Pluto's energy continuing to transit your first house and oppose your seventh house. And in that opposition to your seventh house, you're redefining your wants and your desires, and I think on some level becoming more aware that thoughts are things. That's why I think that the real Aquarian age is Pluto's transit through Aquarius, and the awareness of that, and harnessing the divine laws of the universe to become more intentional co-creators. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. Your tarot card is a bit of a challenge. This is the Five of Cups. This traditionally represents sorrow. What has spilled is focused on, and what is still there is not being nurtured. But there is an enlightenment that's being offered. Now let's think about the idea that Saturn is going through your first house, Pisces rising. So Saturn is asking you in a very intentional way to create yourself based on spiritual principles. And while that happens, it's opposing the very earth sign of your seventh house. The earth signs manifest on the ground. Some of this stuff might be known as airy fairy over there. And I feel like let's see where the definition comes, because there's always some sort of enlightenment that comes. And what I'm thinking is Saturn is going to retrograde. So Saturn's starting to slow down. I think it's retrograding at the end of June. I'm still working on my June monthlies. Been super busy with astrology reports, and managing everything is a little bit challenging sometimes for me, especially since I'm not motivated to get up early. But I am motivated to go to bed early. Okay, here we go. Pisces, our first angel is Aurora. You're flying high right now. Don't descend. Others may soon be inspired by your example. This may be temporary. Hold the phone. Then we have Ariel. New psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. We have Indriel, the light worker. And then we have Ray. This is all about your connection to the angelic realm right now, or the connection to your higher self, the connection to source energy. And sometimes that connection can appear to isolate us from humans. They go, oh God, there she goes. She's starting to talk about that stuff again. Aurora is being joined by the horse. That feels very Sagittarian, and Jupiterian, your co-ruling planet, is moved into the sign of Gemini. Now, I believe that's a square for you. Off the top of my head, I can't think of where it is. I have to calculate. Virgo. Gemini is probably your fourth house, I think. All right, Ariel is being joined by the fire fairy. Indriel's being joined by the burden card. And Ray is being joined by the disruption card. I want to offer this. If there's some rigmarole going on in the home environment, let me make sure. Let me think. Pisces, that makes your 12th house. No, it's your 10th house. Gemini is your 10th house. Okay. There could be something going on shifting. Well, this could also affect your... I want to offer this. This is how I want to put it. I'm trying to figure out what the genre is, but that 10th house is public. That 10th house can be a change of status, not only within your career, but also within your relationships. We think about what's going on with Virgo opposing in the 7th house of self. I want to offer this way for my Pisces. Stay the course, connecting to spirit, because you may inadvertently, without realize it, have some sort of turnaround that you weren't expecting, because Aurora talks about staying the course that you will inspire others. And when I look at the horse, I do think of Jupiterian. I do think of a spiritual dynamic, but I also think about it's about going in a new direction. And you may fear loss, but I don't think that that's going to happen, because Ariel is saying that new experiences through your divine connection are inspiring you, and to be optimistic about that. And right now it may feel like a bit of a burden, because Saturn is dampening that. Saturn is literally not going to say, if you do it one time, you've mastered it. Saturn is going to want to see repeated efforts, repeated dynamics, repeated thoughts, that you are understanding that wherever something ends, there is something to be nurtured. And sometimes that ending is not always necessarily negative. It actually can be very positive, because here in the final position is again this reinforcement. Don't let anyone disrupt, or any situation disrupt your connection to spirit right now. If for some reason you are experiencing a physical loss, if you're experiencing a physical disconnection, if for some reason you're experiencing something within your career that feels unpleasant, this is a time to open up to a bigger inspiration of what you want. You may inadvertently default, Pisces, to, well, how will I make money, or how will I be secure if this change takes place? And this is where your expansion is being, your connection to the divine is offering you something to move past that. When I think about when I had a day job and when I was pursuing things that literally I had fear, if I don't do this, I won't have that. And while it took a long time for me to trust and to understand that my vibration was the most important thing, by the time I launched Being Teri, while some people thought I was crazy, as I continued that pursuit, they came around. So this may be a temporary loss, a temporary disconnection, or a temporary disruption. And staying the course is going to help you manage that more succinctly. Okay. And it also could have something to do with Mars, dancing with Chiron in your Aries energy, which could be the 4th house. No, I'm so backwards right now when I'm thinking of Pisces. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer would be that 9th house then. So I'm backing up. Okay. We are headed onto our Aries rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What am I thinking? That was totally backwards. Everything I said for Pisces in the house structure was wrong. Pisces, Aries is your 2nd house. I was right the first time when I thought it was the 4th house. And that's going to make, if Gemini is your 4th house, that makes Sagittarius your 10th house. This is why I need my cheat sheet. Aries 4th house. That's why I feel that the rumble. Okay. Because it could create a rumble in the home, or a ripple. Thanks for bearing with me, all of you lovely people. I'd like to think that my brain, I'm taking my lion's mane. I've been taking my ginkgo bloken. Might not be working as good as I'd like it to. Okay, here we go. Aries, the Fool. Many people think this is Uranus, okay? I think it's Mars. Who goes on an adventure? Who doesn't look where they're going, just leaps? Mars. There's certain, when I see the tower, I think of Uranus, and I don't here. So let's see, Aries, with all this, because this is a joyous journey, but it's also about looking where you're going. So let's see. And I just heard from Spirit say, on some level, you can't look where you're going when it comes to your emotional connection to Spirit. That's where, as he looks above, there's a trust factor that I won't walk off that cliff. Here we go. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Celeste, happy move to a new home or place of employment. Sonia, your team is here. Then we have Archangel Uriel working with you with your anger and frustration. And then Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. All right, here we go. I can't see. There's a star. I can't see your whole comment. I don't know what the last word is. Lucy. All right. Celeste is being joined by the restriction card. Sonia is being joined by the fear card. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the birth and rebirth card. And Astera is being joined by the owl. Okay. So this is a journey of restraint. This is a journey of stopping to really think before you leap, as evidenced by Celeste and the restriction card. Celeste talks about a happy move to a new home or place of employment, but I repeat this repeatedly. You can put my physical body anywhere. I think a certain way, and I'll take actions based on those beliefs. So this is really about stopping, looking, and before you leap, looking to create with Mars and Chiron doing this dance, there could very well be, while Mars is sitting in, Aries' first house, Mars is the ruler of the first house, your instinct could override your thinking, because Sonia is working with you to face everything and rise in a paced way, because you are being rebirthed in your frustration and your anger. This could not be more appropriate right now. And Astera is saying to reach for the stars, with your connection to the stars, the divine universe, and take no prisoners, because you soon will see the wisdom of the disruption, how it's honed your skills, how it's made you a more strategic, more powerful and influential hero energy. So this is very much about the Fool is going into uncharted territory as the Fool, Mars wants to go in and take physical action in the physical world to show its physical prowess. But the most powerful Martian energy is that which is thought out, and the physical action is strategic. That's what's going on here. And while you could feel a little stoked with that dance that Mars is doing with Chiron, this is also the opportunity for that transformation into the gift. And the gift is to see the wisdom of the wound. It's never, you can do releasement ceremonies all day long, and you ain't going to release a dang thing. Hey, just call me C. Aries isn't pre-wired for that. If they rule resentment, what is resentment? A constant thought of what just wasn't fair. All right, let's go to our final sign of the day, Taurus, the Queen of Wands. This is the emotional moon energy with fire. This is creating from your heart, looking to the future, looking to what is most, what brings you the most joy, fun, feeling. Gemini is your second house, so this could very well be an expansion of your skills, using both your mind and your physical to create, I want to say, a better tomorrow. Doesn't that sound corny? I even look at the Queen and I see the two lions right at the top of the throne. I see the two lions at the bottom of her throne. And now we see Jupiter moving into your second house. Really feels like a powerful time to create from your heart. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Azure. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Sonia. Fiona's being joined by the Fear card. Azure's being joined by the Burden card. Rochelle's being joined by the Spider. And Sonia is being joined by the Focus card. So I want to offer this because as I start to tune into the Taurus energy, I remember Uranus is still transiting the last degrees of this house. And in no short order, Mercury will be in a conjunction with, not this week, but it's teeing up here. And I say that because when the Queen was looking to the future to me, she's not standing in the present. This cat down here, this black cat is staring at me. And I feel like when I saw that, it's like have healthy boundaries with the dark side because it's a black cat. And then we have Fiona and the Fear card. So we know that Taurus likes tradition, likes something it can depend on. It represents a security through amassing its possessions and its sense of ease. So here now, this is about turning over your fears, having healthy boundaries with your fears, knowing that your fears are part of the empowerment situation, because right now you're flying high. Aurora says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. That's a bit of a burden for Taurus. Taurus wants to have something to do, wants to go out into the garden and water and weed and da-da-da-da-da. But sometimes you just have to leave something and let it grow, because whatever has been brewing in your heart, the connections are coming. There are more things growing. And as Jupiter enters your second house of your skills, the house you naturally rule, a house of money, I think this is really important to pay attention to, that your heart is what's driving the bus and everything you wanted is in the web. Now, your opportunity in this moment is to stay connected to your team, to focus in on the divine connection that is where you are holding. If we think about Jupiter rules the connection to the angelic realm, it rules the shaman, it rules the teacher. So now I'm staying the course, being aware of my thoughts, knowing that my thoughts can vacillate back and forth, but I'm not going to hang on to any one thought. I'm just going to connect to spirit and say, thank you for the transformation of how I view fear. Thank you for the transformation of how I view insecurity, seeing it more as a marker of what's important to me versus what is going to come catch me from behind. So this is super powerful, as is everything that's being offered to us at this time. I literally believe we are going through a similar dynamic as the United States did after the Civil War. The period of emancipation when they were rewriting governments and structures. We are doing that now, and each one of us is doing that within our own personal lives. So as we acknowledge and know that we have a ripple effect, we become very powerful. I want to kind of leave you with this idea. One who is connected to source energy is more powerful than millions who are not. And that includes people with millions of dollars. So as you allow yourself, Taurus, to connect to this idea that while you are an earth sign, everything that you manifest on the earth comes from your connection to the air, to the Jupiterian dynamics. And you start anchoring those into your everyday world, you'll see some real shifts in your physical experience. Lot potential, much abundance. All right, everybody. Who got kicked out of the room? What happened? Like, how does that happen? YouTube just jettisoned you out? Thank you, Idil. You seem new to the room. I'm not aware of that. Oh, just call me. See, I'm sorry about that. All right, everybody. I'm going to say farewell. I'm going to get to work on the June. I was doing so well being ahead, and now I'm back to that little time zone chasing me to make sure I get it before June 1st. So thanks everybody for being here today. Check out the Jupiter in Gemini video, and I will be back next week with our regularly scheduled program. Bye, everybody.